What's up, guys? It's your bear, and I am back for the spooky season. And I thought I'd talk about some of my favorite spooky content, which is Halloween specials. I love holiday special things that can revolve around a specific holiday, and I really wish they would go to the insane lengths to make episodes for the insane holidays they have out there. Like, there are days celebrating pancakes. Just give me an entire episode about these characters devoting their time to pancakes. But I'm also a little bit old now. Apparently, I'm old. And it got me thinking. I want to talk about some of my favorite Halloween specials that I saw growing up. And the very first special that comes to my mind, and I don't even know if it actually counts as a Halloween special officially, but it's The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, The Ghost of Sweet 613, both being like negative numbers in a way, especially 13 being associated with spooky, superstitious, supernatural stuff. And I kind of want to talk about it. I want to talk about it because as like a young kid, my access to what I could watch on TV was actually limited, and I'm grateful for the things that I did see. But I saw a lot of things at my friend's house, and I distinctly remember this episode because it was the very first Halloween special related episode I think I ever saw in my life, despite the Charlie Brown stuff. But I read that before I watched that, so we're not going to talk about that one right now. Right now, we're talking about The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, The Ghost of Sweet 613. Now, if you're not up to date on what The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody was, I'll put a little picture up. Wrong side. I'll put a little picture up for you guys. But basically, what it was, Zack and Cody lived in this hotel, the Tipton Hotel, that was managed by Mr. Mosby, who's played by Phil Lewis, and a whole bunch of other characters. And it was just following Zack and Cody as they kind of grew up and lived in the Tipton Hotel. Something tells me the hotel is located in Boston, but I could be wrong. I haven't seen the show in that long. I did kind of go back, and I did kind of watch as many clips as I could find for the Ghost of Sweet 613, because it's a pretty old episode from a very long time ago, and I will kind of like on the screen. I'm gonna put some like side by sides of the characters now, but basically for the Ghost of 613, it's kind of like it's Halloween, and it starts off, and Zack is pranking Cody. I don't remember exactly how, but Cody's like, he's your intelligent guy. He would rather sit down and read a book than go out and kick a ball. Zack is, he'll kick a ball at the book you're reading kind of brother. And they're twins. Let me not forget that they're twins. So, it's kind of like Halloween's coming along. Cody's like, I'm so sick and tired of your pranks, Zack. Their mom is like, oh, but you know Cody scares easy. You're supposed to be nice to your brother, blah, blah, blah. And it kind of like escalates, and we get to have the involvement of some of the other characters. Maddie being one of the characters, she works as the Tipton at the little kiosk, a candy shop kind of thing. And she's played by Ashley Tisdale. Young Ashley Tisdale. I think this episode is actually before High School Musical was a thing, and alongside Maddie comes London. They're kind of like a package, and London is played by Brenda Song. Again, both very young in these roles, and they're kind of like talking to Zack, and they're like, you do a lot of pranks, and they each mention like something that he did to prank them, or I could be wrong in like the timeline, but like, yeah, you do a lot of pranks, and they kind of get into it, and then suddenly, somehow, they bring up Sweet 613. I can't remember how, exactly, because I didn't get to watch the episode and I'm speaking from memory. But they talk about it, and Mr. Mosby kind of like leads it on. He was like, back in his like early days before he was running the Tipton, he like went into this suite. It's an abandoned suite. Nobody lives there. They don't rent it out to guests. And he was like, hey, I'm going to take a nap. And in the suite 16, he sees a ghost. I can't remember the ghost's name right now. I will look it up. I will put it on the screen for you guys. But this is like the first mention that there is a ghost in suite 613. And then it kind of like goes over, events happen, and then London talks about it. And London's like, oh, I was in there once, and like I dropped a whole load of cash. London's rich. And second mention, Ghost 613. And then there's Mural. I'm not too sure who plays Murals, but I will put it up on the screen with her actor. Give it the credit it deserves. Mural kind of like third places it in their mind. There is a ghost in Suite 613. So a little bit happens. There's some smack talking between the brothers, and Cody goes, well, I'm not a baby. And Zack goes, prove it. Prove that you are not a little baby, not just a little mama's boy. And like a little bit of back and forth. And then it kind of like the whole entourage is formed, and they get Esteban involved. I cannot remember who plays Esteban, but Esteban is such a great character.
Justice, and clear my name. No one calls Esteban Julio Ricardo Montoya de Rosa Ramirez Atif.
No one's got the time.
The group of them all agree that they are going to spend the night, Halloween night, in Suite 613. So that's kind of like the lead up to it. And I did get some like screenshots that I could find from the episode that I'm gonna like just plump when I can. And it's actually really clever because the whole concept is it's a prank on Zack. Everyone gets together to prank Zack by getting him to go and spend a night in Suite 613. So Cody can also like kind of prove himself and that they can like get back at him. And it's just like little kid me terrified. I must have been like maybe 5 or 6. Terrified. So first off, this room is like destroyed. There are covers on the furniture, there's dust everywhere, and there's a broken mirror, and there's a reason as to why the mirror is broken. Don't remember it. And there is like a portrait or a picture of this ghost, this woman who's haunting the room. And they kind of like go through these things. They establish that the ghost liked a certain food. I think it must have been pizza or something like that. They establish this ghost likes pizza. So at some point in the night, they can smell pizza. And I'm like, oh my goodness. She's there. They can smell it. She's having pizza. And it's really like cool. They get together and they all have like these trigger things that relate to the story of this ghost that they have happen here and there. And then at some point, little kid me did not know this was like not a real thing, kind of a real thing, but they decide they're going to have a seance. I'm like, at that age, I would have checked out. When I was that young, I was the scaredy cat. I was like, okay, nope, I'm not watching this shit. Real life, kid me would have happily walked down that dark alleyway. But if I was watching it on TV, chicken. Absolute chicken, will admit it. But I remember this episode so well. There was another thing in like the episode that it was like a stormy night and there's like no electricity in the room, so it's dark, and they have these moments where there's like thunder and lightning and it lights up this backing window that they have that leads open to this balcony, which has gargoyles on it for some reason. So every time that like lightning flashes, these gargoyles are like silhouetted in the window to make it more scary, and there's cobwebs everywhere. And I remember me and my friends like legit being scared of this episode the first time we watched it. So it goes and all, Esteban has a seance. And he kind of like calls it in, and the ghost embodies Esteban. Not embodies, she possesses Esteban, and he's now embodying this woman, this ghost. Absolutely love the way they did it. Esteban was an absolute icon. And they have this moment where kind of like each character gets taken by the ghost. So they'll have like Maddie doesn't believe in ghosts, so she's the disbeliever. So she gets like targeted, and they're all sitting around this table, and all of a sudden her tail just goes, and they're like, "Oh no, Maddie!" And then suddenly, I can't remember exactly why, but she's like testing it, and all of a sudden the chair pulls her back into the darkness. And I remember sitting there being like, "Maddie, Maddie." And then like the ghost steals Cody's blanket, up and away, and Cody chases the blanket. And like one by one, these characters kind of get pulled into the darkness until Zack is left there, and he's just like this little bumbling idiot, and he's legitimately scared. And they come out, and they're like, "Boom! We got you! Ha 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 ha! We got you!" But I was convinced, but this was the very first like Halloween special I had ever seen, and I think it was like really well done for what they were doing at the time as well. The ultimate thing is there were a lot of like trickery that happens because of Owen, who is the janitor of the hotel in a way, and he's like this inventor dude, and he comes up with these contraptions and gizmos throughout the show, which are all great, and he basically sets it up for this major prank that they all teamed up to like get back at Zack. And then they're like, "Oh, okay, ha ha ha, we're all even, no more pranking each other." But Cody left his blankie in Suite 613, and they go back up to Suite 613 to get Cody's blanket. And they're kind of just like minding their own business. And he's like, "I gotta find it." And the ghost picks up the blanket, or she's holding the blanket, and she hands it to Cody. And Cody's like, "Oh, thank you." And she goes, "Oh, you're welcome." And they're looking at the ghost of Suite 613, and they scream and run, and she kind of just turns around and walks back into the portrait like, "I was real all along." And I loved that. I thought that was like so cool as a kid, with that being like my first introduction to like the proper idea of like ghosts and supernatural stuff. I loved it. It scared the shit out of me, and I look back and I think, "You were stupid, child, for falling for that shit." But that's how it was, and I kind of liked it. And Disney had a few really good Halloween related stuff. Twitches. I loved the twitches and just things like that. And I really enjoyed it, and I think about it, and I also think about like how long ago it was, and just stemming my absolute love of Halloween. It's also just something that I remember so vividly. The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody is a show that I remember so vividly. I think it was probably the first like live action show that I really enjoyed, other than Friends, because I watched Friends with my mom because she had like box sets, so I would like watch that. But as for like TV, I think The Sweet Life and Zack and Cody was probably one of the very first real shows that I took an actual liking to, and I remember that episode so vividly that I was like, "I remember this episode, but I don't know what it was called." But I can go in and I can go, "Da, da, da, Sweet Life Zack Cody Ghost episode Halloween special win." And it's like, it's pretty early on. I don't know if it is the first ever actual official Halloween special that Disney did, because there's also one in That's So Raven where I don't know why, but she turns into a cow, I think. Don't understand what was going on there, but I remember Raven turning into a cow at some point, so I'm pretty sure that was that Halloween special. And a lot of just like Halloween centered episodes. That's not, I mean, Phineas and Ferb. Whew. Phineas and Ferb have quite a few Halloween episodes, but they also have quite a few scary episodes, which just kind of like fit into the like whole era of things that I'm talking about. As I also really enjoyed Phineas and Ferb, and they also did their scary episodes really well. And I kind of wanted to talk about it. I wanted to remember it a bit because that was the TV that I grew up on. Maybe you grew up on it too. I am gonna do like a little bit. If I can put the clips in, then they're gonna play now. If I can't get the clips in, I just looked a little bit stupid there, but you got to look at my pretty face for a few extra seconds. It is like Disney, so I don't know if it like will fly because it's old. I would love to absolutely be able to find a full episode where I can like sit and react and watch it, but I don't even know if I'm gonna find it because this is that old Disney. But that's that for Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, the Ghost of 613, the 613. Let me know if you guys remember that episode. Let me know what like Halloween specials you remember from your childhood. If there's like, it doesn't even have to be from your childhood. Just tell me what were your like favorite Halloween specials growing up. There's a Shrek one that I'm trying to find and get my hands on, and I want to talk about the Shrek one because that was pretty cool. But I'm also gonna like I'm gonna dig deep and I'm gonna think about it, and I want to talk about these things because I love them. Yeah, and I love Halloween. Happy Spooky Month, everyone, and I will catch you all later.
The rest of the hotel is haunted by these two.